A demonic plague descends upon the city, plunging it into chaos. The era of professions arrived, and he awakened a divine talent within himself. Others mock and ridicule him because his profession is that of a priest. It's time to switch roles and start running faster. Many would surely die when he cast the healing spell on them. 8 years ago, a powerful force distorted space and time, leading to the invasion of creatures from another world who exterminated humanity at will. The large number of human casualties led to a sharp decline in the population. The survivors called this apocalypse a magical wave. The change in magnetic field led to the emergence of a profession system that expanded people's capabilities. People could awaken random initial talents, and within the system, choose different professions for themselves. Creation of a professional academy. Based on real events and relying on the system, integration into the game, creation of various strategic copies of different difficulties and ranks to increase the level and train the next generations. Aaron said that the students have completed all the theoretical courses of the first professional academy of Zhang City. Today is a significant day of awakening their talents, as well as their first step in copying. He is confident that after many years of training, they are ready to become professionals in order to protect humanity, even if it means sacrificing themselves. But now the students, named by number, will undergo talent awakening. After so many years in this world, the long-awaited day of awakening talents has finally arrived. Talent rarity is divided into common, rare, legendary, and divine. Fantastic rarity of talent has not existed since the awakening of mankind. Swordsmen and mages are the most desired professions, followed by assassins, summoners, and warriors. But priests, due to their low level of healing, weak mobility, and almost complete lack of attack ability, unable to somehow change the course of battle, are the most disrespected of all professions. With powerful equipment and high-quality talents, other professions can quickly solo normal copies, but priests cannot, in extremely difficult copies. As long as there is an experienced player, mages and summoners can replace the role of the priest. Forced to hide behind the team, simply gaining experience and healing, the priests became a complete laughingstock. The girl asked the guy if he had decided what profession the main character would choose. He already said that there is no point in thinking about it now. He will understand what profession suits him only after he has proven his talent. It was Emma, a student at the first vocational academy of Zhang City. Many guys were in love with her. They said that today the goddess was more magnificent than ever. Michael, without saying anything, placed his hand on the pink-haired girl's head. Guys are jealous of the person the girl is talking to. They call him a complete loser. The guy said that he always puts on such a show that it's really interesting to see what kind of talent he'll awaken there. The girl turned around at him, looked angrily, and shouted at them to slow down. Christopher has awakened a powerful, rare talent that gives a 50% boost to strength skills. The guy next to him started to support him, saying that this was a rare talent, ideal for the warrior's power profession. The handsome guy would definitely become the best in this test. Looking at the main character, he said that he wanted to know why the gods loved him so much. Placing his hand on Emma's shoulder, Michael told her to ignore them. She, embarrassed, asked why he never paid attention to other people's opinions. He replied that it was because he would become the strongest. 2 people ran forward while there were many monsters around them. They noticed an open shelter and ran towards it, while the mother reassured her son, saying that they were almost there. They were attacked by a monster. The parents tried to save their son. The mother was already in the hands of the monster, and the father ordered her to quickly run inside. As she approached the monster's mouth, she shouted that he must survive. The woman in the memories extends her hand to him, saying that they are now his family. They walk away together into the distance, the woman walking in the middle, holding the hands of 2 children. It was the protagonist's turn. He again put his hand on the girl's head, telling her to wait. The boy was enveloped in a bright yellow light, his hair and clothes fluttering in the wind coming from the floor. He found himself in the subconscious, and a large, bright star appeared in front of him. He was pierced by 2 dragons that were circling nearby, and light began to emanate from him. The main character received a fantastic talent. The inversion of heaven and earth cancels and strengthens all skills on himself with the ability to freely activate and deactivate. If it is upgraded to a higher level, it can change the nature of the skills. The current effects of possession mana consumption are reduced by 10%. Current transformation effect. Buffs become debuffs. Debuffs become buffs. Update requirements. Increase personal level to 10. He thought that to cancel all the effects on himself and freely switch this fantastic talent, it meant that the enemies would never be able to defeat him. But if they use non-skill attacks like basic attacks, or if he is healed by a priest, it can break the invulnerability and directly harm him. This is precisely why talent needs to be hidden. He returned to the court with a hidden talent. No matter how the girl looks at him, his talent will still be a secret. People began to discuss that he would receive such a shameful talent that he would even want to hide it. A non-entity deserves a non-entity. The goddess was very wrong to fall in love with such a loser. It was time for Emma to reveal her talent. The guy pushed her and told her to go forward. Students who have already completed Talent Awakening choose a profession through the goddess statue. The main character saw an inscription above the goddess. She urged him to choose the profession he wants to get. He thought that if invincibility was considered to a certain extent, then reversing heaven and earth was definitely a divine skill. The statue asked him again if he really chose the profession of a priest. He is currently the first student of this session who has decided to become a priest. The change of profession was confirmed, and a yellow light began to emanate from the card. The light reached the boy's body and he, screaming in pain, accepted it. The change of profession was complete, and he put on different clothes. He began to look at his skill icon, where his condition and everything else was described. Michael decided to test the reversal of heaven and earth. The healing art changed to deprivation of life energy. As he thought, the skill was interpreted as reducing health rather than dealing damage, so it would not resist defensive armor, which was equivalent to true damage. A seemingly unnoticeable mana drain can prevent mages from casting their most important spells at crucial moments, exposing their weaknesses. With such a strategy, the approach to combat is quite clear. He also needs to be careful with healing skills or buffs from allies. People started laughing because someone actually chose the priest profession. They thought that he must be some kind of coward who wanted to hide behind his team and play support. Emma has awakened the legendary talent of bionic tears, which summons spirits from another world to fight for her. They did not understand how an insignificant priest could meet with the pride of heaven. He was more like her errand dog. She approached the statue of the goddess in order to choose the profession she wanted to get. The girl immediately decided to choose the profession of a magician. Aaron is interested in something else for a long time now. None of the students have chosen the profession of a priest. The boy stood proudly next to other people, some of whom continued to judge him. This young man did not choose it reluctantly. Emma happily ran up to him and suggested that they compete together since she had chosen the magician. He refused, saying that he had plans, and thus he immediately prevented her from persuading him to this end. The system message stated that the beginners' competition was already open, and students who had completed Talent Awakening and Career Change were asked to form teams to participate in the competition. Christopher asked the protagonist if he could talk to Emma for him. He wants to offer her to join his team, and as a reward, he can take him with him if he follows orders. He refused, to which the guy called him ungrateful, shaking his fist at him. Aaron interrupted them and said that competitions require teamwork. Even with enough talent, it is difficult to stand against hordes of demons. The students greeted their grandfather. The director said that in the face of demons, any differences could be put aside. The protagonist replied that there were no disagreements. He simply believed that completing the competitions alone gave more experience and rewards. Aaron did not understand how it was possible that a priest would cope with the test alone. He added that in extreme cases they could change the team, but it was better not to joke with health safety. The guy thanked the director, but said that he would still go through alone. The newly minted priest approached the portal and extended his hand towards it. This competition is dangerous to do alone and is recommended to be done in a team, but the guy was adamant. They entered the forest with a pack of bloodthirsty wolves with sharp teeth and claws, and were warned to remember that they should never allow themselves to be surrounded. He thought that in a cooperative, loss could be avoided, and getting a rating was already the best result. Somewhere in the middle of the circle, there is a healing spring where all professionals can restore their health, and since it ensures the safety of beginners, the status of the priests is lowered even more. However, risk-takers do not eliminate wolves along the way, but lead them along with them, or they go deeper into the forest, entering restricted areas. Well, since he has divine talent, how can he be satisfied with an ordinary rating? The guy was already deep in the wolf forest. The wolves had a skill. They use sharp teeth to bite the enemy. On hit, they cause a 10-second bleeding effect. A bright light and a strong flow of air appeared around the main character. He used his healing ability on them, dealing 50 points of damage back to the wild wolf. Killing the wild wolf without harm, he received 10 experience points. He was bitten, and the backlash worked. His health started to increase. He used the reverse technique of clairvoyance, the technique of imprisonment. This skill clears the enemy's mana, rendering the target unable to move. Another wolf ran towards him with the intention of attacking him. One mob gives 10 experience points. Then if he destroys all the mobs on this circle, he can get at least the 4th level. His target is the last hidden boss. Even with a difference of 1 level, he is not a problem. He used his recharge skill and gained 10 experience points again. The guy prepared thoroughly for this day, and the enemy won't think about my level before killing me. Michael turned off the reverse mode and used the clairvoyance technique. The protagonist received 2 free attributes and wished to add them to his intelligence. The principal said that this area was forbidden to explore during school time, and he wanted to fight the hidden 5-level boss, the dark descendant of the Wolf King. If this guy isn't purposefully seeking death, then he has a hidden talent of legendary level or even higher. Unfortunately, since he doesn't intend to reveal his talent yet, he will have to look at other worthy candidates first. But he hopes that he will return alive. Looking at the girl, the man in the cloak said that she still lacked some fire. She has ambitious thoughts, but in practice everything is a little different. Emma fights the wolves using various magic, and is supported by her teammates. She notices that more monsters are moving towards them, and they decide to run. The girl used her hidden ability of bionic tears. With no combat experience and relying only on talent, she won't get far. The protagonist's speed was as expected, and killing the remaining mobs would advance him to level 4. He found the dark descendant of the Wolf King. He is fierce by nature. Seeing any creature, he falls mercilessly. The wolves throughout the forest are his subordinates, obediently carrying out all his orders and tearing to pieces all enemies. Because it is a hidden boss, it is referred to as a forbidden mob in textbooks. Countless gifted students have suffered severe injuries while trying to fight it, and future heroes have been mercilessly bitten to death by it. It seems that all wild wolves always hang around the king, but in fact, like any animal, they leave from time to time in search of a comfortable place. They do not immediately return to their den after solving all the problems. They may well take a walk around the area. They leave often, allowing them to be defeated one after another. The problematic mobs for him are actually the best bloodbags. As soon as he gains experience, he will immediately go solo on the dark descendant of the Wolf King. As the king has fewer and fewer subordinates, his level increases. He asked with a smile if they had finally noticed the loss. The guy said that they were about to start the final game with the Wolf King. This terrifying amount of health and attack stats exceeds that of normal wild wolves by 50 times. If a newbie encounters it, he will either be killed in one blow or mauled to death. Thanks to the king's attack, his bone muscles are now even better. After another hit, the main character's health continues to recover. He used his skill, which had just recharged. The Wolf King launches a basic attack, but Michael quickly dodges it. The impact left a dent in the ground. The dark descendant of the Wolf King realized this too late and used rage. A red pillar of light shot into the sky. This was the protagonist's skill. Killing the Dark Wolf King gives 1,000 experience points and increases the level to 5. As a reward, he received a basic level bronze chest. If it weren't for the fact that reverse heal isn't a damaging skill, it might have already been rated higher. The student completed the competition by completing all hidden achievements and receiving a rating of 555. They witnessed a historical event. Many were surprised and wondered who it was. Some asked for a selfie. The director said that to get such a rating, and to achieve all the hidden achievements in this competition, as far as he remembers, only one person dared to enter these lands. It was almost impossible. One of the conditions for getting a rating is to pass the level without taking damage. Sleep without damage is almost impossible. Emma thought that she had just reached A level but was already in danger. She wondered where this great master in their class came from. The main character said that it was great, and he was very lucky. He decided to open the treasure chest. The silver chest is opened. He received a silver level skill book and 5 free points, also silver level equipment. The guy learned the reverse divine healing of the first level of disaster indulgence. It has a fairly long cooldown and high mana costs, but in the early stages, this is not a problem. A burst with such high damage is already a very strong early game ultimate. As for the daggers, they are sold directly to the rich second generation for future expenses. He can no longer sit on the shoulders of his aunt and uncle. They have done so much for him. The 5 free points were quite useful, a rare source of free points. Aside from the 2 points naturally obtained after leveling up, the only ways to obtain them are by completing special tasks in Secret Realm circles or opening hidden chests. If you fail to reach S or higher on your first run through a dungeon and no stat rewards are given, reaching SSS will give you 5 extra stat points. All the extra stat points he gets will be directed towards intelligence. From today on, he will become his best and toughest priest of disaster. People were inspired and waited for the SSS rank team to come out. Only one guy came out, and the students thought they weren't finished yet. The girl ran up to the main character and told him to tell her if it was him. Christopher said that if his memory serves him right, he went alone. He couldn't have come empty-handed. The guy asked if anyone here had changed their profession to an assassin. He could offer them a weapon of excellent quality. Bidding for the silver-class dagger began. Many wanted to buy it and offered large sums. He thought 50,000 was a decent price for a premium weapon. During the counting, the girl offered a price of 100,000 alliance coins. The average family's total income per year is 10,000 alliance coins, and to save up 100,000 they would have to not eat or drink for 10 years, which is simply an incredible amount. 100,000 may be a lot, but for such a first-class dagger, it's not that expensive. The guy started asking what level he was now. He honestly answered that he had reached level 5. They didn't believe that he had reached level 5 solo and even received a high rating. The director said that it seemed that this student was not a member of any team after all. The other man replied that it was impossible. No one had ever managed to do this. He had to find a team after entering the dungeon. The man asked that the student get SSS rating in the beginner dungeon. Does he think that is possible? The main requirement is to go solo without taking damage. Now even all entry-level professionals cannot achieve this. Christopher said that he was just lucky and that this low-level priest can do anything. The director said that all the tests were completed, and from today they were no longer students. Now they were interns with extraordinary abilities. Also, as they all know, in 30 days they will go through the most important stage in their lives, a professional test. Will they return to normal life or become heroes fighting against demons? All of this will depend on how they perform in 30 days, throughout this month. Actively visit the initial dungeons assigned by the school and strive to reach at least level 10. The professional test must be completed by a team, one of the important evaluation criteria being team coordination. However, the main character has already identified his partner. You shouldn't look at her eternally cold image. In fact, she needs care more than anyone else. Clumsy and simple-minded, but extremely devoted and trusting. Not always able to hide her true nature. Even though she has awakened powerful talents, he must protect her. After all, this is their agreement with their aunt and uncle. He suggested that she skip dinner at home tonight and go to a more dangerous dungeon. They came to the entrance to a dungeon called the Stone Cave. The dungeon can be selected by difficulty, with the difficulty gradually increasing as the dungeon level increases. The higher the difficulty, the higher the monster stats. Different admission conditions and the need for more participants leads to more valuable rewards. The initial dungeons have basically only 3 difficulty levels: medium, hard, and nightmare. The initial dungeon has only medium and hard levels. Emma asked if he wanted to set a difficult level of co-op dungeon and also get a high rating, even though it was a beginner dungeon. She didn't say she didn't trust him. She just thought it would be hard for her to get out of the dungeon without getting hurt. She might get in his way. To which he replied that this dungeon has a skipping method. The monsters in this dungeon have been changed. He found the data left by the main ones, integrated it, and reconstructed it. According to his calculations, the pass is quite possible. She thought it was amazing, as if she could reconstruct the price purely by deduction. He began studying the types of dungeons and monsters very early, calculating various data. However, he passed all the theoretical exams with difficulty. Everyone always thought he was a complete fool. The guy turned around and asked why she was thinking. The girl replied that she was already on her way. They entered the dungeon of the Stone Cave. The protagonist warned Emma that this was a wild dungeon, more dangerous than the previous ones. Due to the lack of people in the dungeon team, they will be forced to go through with other teams. This dungeon might actually force them to go through it with others. So they'll not only have to face monsters here, but also competitors. She should be more careful. There was an explosion behind the boys. Christopher flew past them and hit the stone structure with all his might. He didn't expect that even small mobs would be able to knock them out. The level of danger at the hard level in this wild dungeon was far beyond imagination. The protagonist asked the protagonist for help, and asked if he had forgotten about the Academy's mutual assistance agreement. The guy replied that he had to help himself and he wouldn't do anything like that. They ran further. They called him a pathetic priest. Michael told her to remember that scorpions are scared as hell of water, and they all have a short attack range. He added that she should follow him and do whatever he says, so he can guarantee that no one will poison her. The main character added that scorpions are very sensitive to sounds. Using the raid technique, he destroyed the ceiling above them. The main condition for passing is to go along a unique route and avoid the attention of monsters. Find a bug in this dungeon. And then, on the map where the creatures that are afraid of water gather, there is a body of water. This water is drinkable, and the guy jumped into it practically without thinking about anything. The girl dived after him, and they found themselves on the ground. The Scorpio attacking Christopher's team noticed strange vibrations. A huge bunch of scorpions approached a clear body of water. Having noticed one of the scorpions, the main character said that if he didn't come up, the guy would do it himself. The guys were surprised that the priest had such powerful damage. With the combined efforts of the entire team, they barely managed to defeat one scorpion. But in his hands, they were like lambs to a spell. What kind of monster did they provoke? Emma said she would deal with the rest. All the poisonous scorpions were killed. The student rose to level 4 and received 1 free stat point. True to its name, the Scorpion King can overcome its innate fear of water. The girl was very surprised that the Scorpion King really had such protection. She did not understand what they should do. Its weak point is the vital core in the second segment of the abdominal cavity. The main character pulled the girl away from the blow of the Scorpion King. He told her to keep creating footholds. The poisonous King Scorpion only lifts its body in this movement, revealing the weak spot on its abdomen. 1,000 points of damage was dealt to the poisonous Scorpion King, 3,000 experience points were obtained, the dungeon was completed, and rewards were issued. The main character's level has been increased several times, and people began to apologize and ask him to take them under the wing of the Night God. They are ready for his orders. He threatened them to keep their mouths shut and not dare to tell anyone. Otherwise, they must be prepared to face the consequences of their actions. The guy suggested opening the prize here where no one but them could use it. In front of them stood a chest, the edges of which were gilded. They began to open the treasure chest with interest. The boys acquired a skill suitable for a representative of the Mage class, Gold class equipment, 2 Silver class equipment, and 5 free attribute points. One of the rewards was a Silver class 2-handed sword. It increases attack by 200 units, and attack power by 5 units, and also has a passive effect. Although it was incredible luck that they got Gold class equipment, the most valuable thing was still the Emerald Ring. 1 Silver class, but reduces the time it takes to recharge skills. He said she could take the book with the poison vial for magicians. Once mages select a skill attribute, they can only learn skills related to that attribute. She activated the hidden skill of the 5 Elements Master. 2 out of 5 were revealed. The main character thinks that she should look into this more deeply, and maybe she will even be able to discover some new goodies. Emma was glad that he now had an ace up his sleeve too. The girl asked how he was going to use all 5 attribute points. She was very interested to see it, to which he replied that she would not like his methods at all. The boys are wondering if they can handle it, because they are just newbies. One of them had arachnophobia, and is very afraid of scorpions. Otherwise this would not have happened in the wild. Emma's fans noticed the guy nearby, started discussing him. They said that although he looks weak, in fact there are rumors that he has recently reached a high level. An expensive yellow car appeared behind the people. Edward came out and said that the girl they were talking about was truly incredible. She was much more attractive than this one from the Wildlife Fund. The girl grabbed the main character by the hand and told them to leave. He did not understand why, and asked what happened. She replied that she didn't like people like him. His hobby was picking on girls from poor families, and he also allowed himself to be rude to others and hired all sorts of scum. The guy asked if she could wait just a second. He introduced himself and asked Emma if she would mind meeting him. No matter where he goes, Edward always becomes the center of discussion. She hid behind the main character, saying that she already had a boyfriend. The real guy in front of them thought that he was wearing cheap clothes from the market. She was just like a flower among cow dung. He told him to get lost and tried to push him away, to which the protagonist quickly repelled the attack due to his lightning-fast reaction. Edward got angry and asked how he dared to hit him. Did he even know who he was dealing with? In response, the protagonist used his skill and pushed him back. The guy winced in pain. He was unable to get up on his own. Michael mockingly said that he had done nothing. Everyone around him could confirm this. The guys nearby were very surprised that Edward was lying on the ground. But since the main character is a priest, it means he cannot cause damage to anyone. And once again, the one who wanted to get to know Emma decided to attack the guy. Before reaching the main character, he again bowed to the ground and told him to stop playing so dirty. Michael understood how the reverse technique works. It seems that in addition to damage, the robbery technique can also cause additional damage. He shouted that if he was so brave, then let him fight him normally. He would allow him to kneel before him and apologize if he surrendered. The forum says that before putting the weapon up for sale, the guy went through a dungeon alone, in which his level increased to as much as 5. William apologized for his friend, and thought that if such rumors existed, then they must be based on something. Perhaps some incredibly strong talent had awakened in him, and he was simply hiding it. He added that he did not want to unnecessarily stir up conflicts between classmates. To which the protagonist replied that he felt that Edward did not agree with this, who supported the conversation and told him to quickly teach the protagonist a lesson. In response to his words, the guy turned to his friend and took out a yellow piece of paper. Having attached it, the guy lost the ability to move. William said that he thought that since he did not calm down today, he would not calm down in the future either. The guy told him not to come to school this month, gave him a card with 50,000, saying that this was compensation. If he needed to solve any problems with the dungeons and equipment, then he could safely call him. He really hoped for his understanding, and that he would not show himself to him for the next month. The main character refused the offer and said that if no one interfered with him, then he would not interfere with them in return. On the contrary, he is even interested in what he will try to do to him. The girl asked if she could sell the ring for that price, to which he told her to just trust that no one in their right mind would ever turn down free attribute points. The guys discussed that the terrain of the cave is extremely complex. High-level teams are limited in their cooperation. It is simply impossible. They are very interested in whether this is true or not. Another guy said he was a little curious if it was real or fake. Another said he shouldn't spend money so carelessly. The girl said there were 3 free attribute points after all. Someone had already bought them. After 3 minutes, one of the people reached a high level and said that it was possible. Many professionals have taken turns reaching high levels and sharing this with others. Some said that others should come and look at the post. If they follow this main master, they can get free stat points. The guy asked if they found anything about this man. His people replied that not yet. They used hacking methods to hide their information before publishing this message, but they can say that the IP address is roughly located in Zhang City Professional Academy. So, something exciting is happening at the academy this year. The guy agreed to meet the buyer at the entrance to the school dungeon. Emma happily said that the main character succeeded, taking into account the big ball. He managed to earn more than 300,000. Silver rank graduation weapons are indeed the best equipment early on, but will need to be replaced eventually. Even with top-end gear, without understanding combat, you're just cannon fodder in trials. She said that the time before the test was very precious, and he always wanted to become stronger, the girl asked. But why did he spend it on making a strategy, working to make money? He replied that he would need this money to protect people dear to him. After all, they protected him all the time. In his past life, he had no family. He could never feel their warmth and support. Getting into this world was the greatest luck, because he now has parents who love him very much. But 10 years ago, after the magical waves ended, his disgusting relatives treated him like a leper, dreaming that he would die in the magical waves just like his parents. This would make it easier for them to divide the inheritance left by his parents among themselves. Then trying to fight them was like a praying mantis, trying to stop a chariot to avoid exploitation and humiliation. He ran away. Slowly they made him relax. Later they helped him get back his parents' inheritance without taking a penny. Take care of him with all their hearts. Without them, he would not have been able to continue his studies, let alone lead a normal life. And who knows how much more suffering he would have had to endure. So, to put it simply, the fact that he is now making money can be considered as repaying his debt to them. Becoming stronger is also using his power to protect these 3 most important people, so as not to repeat the mistakes of the past. Olivia approached him and asked if he was the one selling the hunting sword. He replied that, unfortunately, he does not conduct face-to-face negotiations, and she apologized because her phone had died just a couple of minutes ago. The guy said that in that case, she should confirm the purchase, since the hunting sword attribute is not subject to return. He told her to look carefully. After the purchase, it will be impossible to return. The girl strikes the air many times, thereby testing the sword. She asked at the outside market if the hunting sword cost more than 200,000. He replied that as far as he understood, the teachers at school did not tell her anything about market prices. Olivia added that she has always had trouble with maths, so she has no idea how much anything costs. The protagonist told her that next time she buys something, she should definitely check the price and make sure she is not being cheated. She thanked him. He said that if she needed anything, she should calmly contact him. She used her talent on him. Now his luck in the dungeons will be increased. The girl asked if she could join his team. He thought that awakened with an innate luck buff. This talent is even rarer than some of the first-tier legendaries. Looking at her, it seems that she is not lying. If it is really an upgradable luck talent, its strategic value will be practically invincible. The effect of this talent is not limited to reward boxes. Even those with weak talents can open legendary or even divine boxes with this buff. The guy asked if she had told anyone else about her skill. The girl shook her head negatively. He asked if the skill had any limitations. The main character told her not to tell anyone about him, otherwise she might get into danger. Her buff is just incredible. Its potential is terrifying. And once people find out about it, they will reach out to her with their little hands. The Alliance of Professionals is indeed a large-scale charity organization that has spread throughout the world, leading humanity to fight the magical wave. But within it, there are many factions with complex relationships. Open and secret struggle, murder and betrayal are constantly happening. So he invited her to join his team. Now they will take care of her. He reintroduced himself to her and happily welcomed her to his team. The guy thought that no one would have guessed that she handled a large sword like that. Emma asked if this was the same jock, and if she and their friend were new. The girl happily greeted her and introduced herself. The girl with pink hair said she was pleased to meet you and introduced herself. She took her arm and asked if the main character had done anything to her. He suggested that they have lunch and then go to the dungeon. It was a goblin dungeon of a nightmare level. In order for them all to get free attribute points, he will go alone first and then make a guide for them. Nightmare tier is the highest difficulty field dungeons during the novice period. The rewards are the most generous, and the treasure chests are guaranteed to be at least gold rank. Emma said that it was impossible. Even if he was strong, he wouldn't be able to so recklessly challenge the nightmare level of the field dungeon right now. She certainly trusts him, but the nightmare level in the goblin dungeon is too dangerous. Even some experienced professionals have gotten into trouble. Although this dungeon is for those below level 10, even many level 9 professionals have received serious injuries for a long time. No newbie has dared to challenge him. Olivia said that she had some things to do, and she would go first. Let them chat for now. Taking her shoulders, he said that he knew she was worried about him. He would just challenge the normal dungeon level. He suggested that she go home to eat first. The guy thought that he didn't expect her to be so against it. For now, he could only submit to her. He would find time and go through it alone tonight. It seems they have discovered the strongest rookie of all time. Isn't there a genius among the rookies preparing for the trials this year who is clearing the dungeons alone? He took a photo at the teleportation point of the Professional Academy's dungeon today. Noticing that Emma was looking at something on her phone, he asked what she was looking at and called her to eat. The protagonist quickly pulled the phone out of her hands. Sitting down at the table, Isabella said that they had worked hard over the past few days. Liam asked how the protagonist was feeling and whether the test had gone smoothly, and he replied that everything was fine. He said that Toy had always been so stubborn since he was a child. They all knew that once he made up his mind, not even 10 horses could stop him. But he shouldn't be too stubborn in everything after all. The strongest tree is the easiest to break. The main character asked his uncle if anyone had complained about him. He replied that this someone was right in front of him. They won't interfere with what he wants to do, but sometimes they wish he was like Emma. But a stable and healthy life is actually enough for them. The guy added that he would study with his classmate Emma and become a calm and salted fish. Michael joked and told them not to worry anyway. He will not do anything he is not capable of. Handing over the card, the man said that it was good. He just needed to remember that this house would always be his support. The protagonist refuses the money, saying that he has already earned some money and he should keep it for himself. Aunt said that he was going to the tests. He would need to spend more. If he didn't take it, she would be very angry. He took the card gratefully, thinking to himself that thanks to them, everything was fine with him. The guy will appreciate the life he has now, because he got it with difficulty. For their sake, he must become stronger. William told Edward that he tried to save him. He even reimbursed him for some of the money. Without him, he would now be lying in the hospital. If he had all his gear on, but William interrupted him, saying that he needed to rest. He threw a porcelain jar at him, saying that it was because of him, a coward, that he had disgraced himself. The man with glasses looked back and asked if he thought he could do whatever he wanted, just because he was the youngest son of the Juan group. William, raising his glasses, said that he didn't have a mother. The guy started cursing at the man who was leaving, saying that they were done. If he left, he should not dare to come back. He was a non-entity, unworthy of being his brother. A newbie who appeared out of nowhere, who can seriously injure him without even using any active skills, although he himself never admitted it. There are rumors that he goes through dungeons alone. Edward called someone and asked them to help him deal with someone. He asked them to call his brothers, let them all put on their gear and take their weapons. If that wasn't enough, he could ask him. He had plenty of everything here. He told him not to worry. He would take care of everything if anything happened. He would just need to teach that ignorant boy a lesson. He needed to understand who was really making the decisions at the academy. The main character walks through the Goblin Dungeon. He is at the first stage of the Mystical Forest. He thought that the Goblin Dungeon was one of the hardest dungeons at this stage. Due to the long clearing time and exorbitant requirements, even those with strong talent were reluctant to come here to farm equipment and free attribute points. But here they can open gold-level chests, and with the blessing of luck buff they can even open platinum-level chests. Earning 10 to 15 free attribute points will not be difficult. In 5 seconds, monsters will begin to gather at the entrance. This time, the main goal is to test his optimized method of collecting monsters and killing them quickly. After killing the secret realm boss for the first time, killing all the monsters, and not using them to get an appraisal in the Goblin Dungeon, the time to clear each level should not exceed 10 minutes. You need to kill the boss of the Secret Kingdom, the Goblin King, on the 5th level of the dungeon, while withstanding the attacks of the goblins. The main character quickly walked past the monsters, who did not notice him. He's been running away from them for 2 minutes and 5 seconds since the start of the first level of the dungeon. Meeting with the leader of the goblins. Michael was counting on 3 minutes and 59 seconds. The guy turned around and started using his skills. He managed to clear the first level in 5 minutes. It seems like the method of pulling out monsters for the first level is not a problem. All monsters on the 2nd level of the Goblin Dungeon have been destroyed, and so the main character got to reach the 5th level by teleportation. The Goblin King asked how he dared to encroach on his territory like that. The protagonist found it strange that the boss of the Secret Kingdom was here as soon as he entered. The Goblin Dungeon Lord has tremendous strength and terrifying attack power. His movement speed is a bit slow, but his powerful muscles, strong golden armor, and gilded spear with a long attack range eliminate any inconvenience for him. He thought that he had decided to use this attack right from the start. If someone lacks agility, they should immediately dodge to the side to avoid the point of impact. Then lie on the ground to reduce the damage from the second wave of airstrikes that covers the field after the impact. He cancelled the damage from the earthquake strike and cancelled the air shock wave from the earthquake. The Goblin King growled loudly, trying to scare his opponent. The monster uses the Dragon Spear ability, cancelling the ability effect, allowing it to restore 200 health points and temporarily increase attack power by 40 points. Realizing that his abilities weren't working for him, he was very surprised. The Goblin King became furious and said that he must have found his weakness. The guy thought that this was to be expected from a boss from a nightmare-level cache. He was certainly difficult to deal with. Well, now is not the time to use his most powerful spell. The monster told them to attack the bastard directly and not to use any abilities. Let him die faster, since abilities don't work on him. Will he be able to withstand hundreds of normal attacks? Many goblins began to attack him. The guy used the dodge skill several times. He didn't care about the arrows the goblins shot. His health had steadily increased by 200 units. The protagonist looks menacingly at his enemy, letting him know that he is very serious. Suddenly, all the goblins were pierced by the guy's attack. The monster called him a cunning man. He has no warrior spirit. He can only run away. He should fight with him. And now the time has come to come face to face. The guy hit the floor with his spear with all his might, and the enemies watched with interest. The enemy did not understand how this demonic power could come from such an insignificant race. The main character said that this time everything should end. A red pillar struck the sky, breaking through the roof of the castle. The Goblin King's health bar is below 1%, and he is in a state of near death. Michael uses a healing spell, the raid technique. The Goblin King was defeated, and 5,000 experience points were obtained, reaching level 7. As he thought, the ability of the lucky goddess's gaze is so powerful that it can directly improve the chest. It will last for a long time. He has 20 hours left just for one more try. He obtained a Platinum-level Holy Sword skill book. He also received a Platinum-level Divine Starburst skill book, 2 Platinum-level skill books, and 1 equipment. Holy Light has a special effect, not to mention the Flickering Stone has a rare flash skill, plus adds stat points. And the Divine Starburst can not only restore health to a group of people, but also imposes immunity to damage, which means that after using the World Revolution, the damage range will be larger, the power will be higher, and it will also be possible to reduce the enemy's immunity to damage. First you need to learn Divine Starburst, then Holy Light. If anything, he will sell it later. In any case, you can't have too many skills. It was not for nothing that the main character went into this dungeon. Emma found him. He said it was a big coincidence and asked if she was also going to this dungeon. She asked if he had cleared the nightmare-level goblin dungeon, and he replied yes. Emma justified herself by saying that she simply wanted to go into this dungeon too, and he told her to go through in that case. The people sitting in the car were happy, because they found it after driving around many teleportation points. One of them said that it was even written on his forehead that he wanted to get beat up. Edward hits his friend on the head, who says that this man is very scary, and he really can't. He knew it would be no use. He said with a smile that fortunately, he was prepared for this situation. The main character looks at a large, bright monitor. The guy came across an article with his picture. They wrote there that according to rumors, he sells everything. And this guy is the one who passed the SSS level alone. Michael received many requests to buy, and each time he became richer. He thought about whether it could be called passing dungeons without harm. No one except him would clear it like that. A dungeon of nightmare levels is a great way to improve equipment and stats, and earning money is a plus. The main character decided to go for a run, because active recreation will help keep the body in good shape. While he was jogging, a black car pulled up to him. It looked very expensive. The guys offered to give him a ride where he needed to go, Michael replied. Didn't his friend tell him not to mess with him? Edward told him not to mention the name of that traitor. After the guys mentioned his family, the main character got really angry. He said he hoped he would act like a man and not cry and ask for help if he failed. The enemy forbade his comrade to help him, because he wants to challenge him to a fight on his own. Because he has equipment that this poor boy never even dreamed of, he will not be able to defeat him. But in a whisper, he told him to proceed according to plan. The main character, getting into the car, told him to be faster. He has things to do, and he doesn't want to waste his time on them. Edward added that he would regret his words. He threatened to make him crawl on the ground like a dog. They arrived at the gathering place of those who wanted to punish the main character. There were really a lot of them. Michael asked if they would fight one-on-one or in a group. The guys said it would be a duel, he against their gang. A crowd of people ran to attack one person. The main character didn't lose his head and pulled his weapon straight out of the ground. He easily dodged any attacks with his agility. Michael thought about how strong they were. It looked like he would have to use his inversion talent. Many of the enemies began to spit and cough up blood. The rest were very surprised by what they saw. There was no attack. This ability instantly overcame gold-level defense. But the enemy said that he will live after this, and he is still a simple priest. There are many more of them, and the equipment is gold level. They can win together. The opponents began to use their skills and abilities. They shouted out the name and rushed forward. They didn't have time to run. The whole space turned red, making them very surprised. Massive red chains appeared in the protagonist's hand. They were in the fallen hell. The faces of the enemies were distorted with pain. They could not even move. But Edward, holding out his hand, said that he had purchased a diamond-grade suit worth 10 million at a quick riches auction. Many people were very surprised, because quick wealth is the best auction. Just one ticket is worth several million. And with such financial resources, he is truly worthy of being the heir to the Huang Company. This suit must be a legendary and rare treasure. He threatened to make him kneel before him. Edward added that it was not too late to beg for mercy. The protagonist, stretching out his hand with a weapon forward, said that no matter how powerful their equipment was, it could not hide the weakness of the spirit. The enemy, wishing death on the main character, attacked him with his shadow dash skill. He doesn't know what move he used, but the kid was able to dodge it. He wonders how this guy was able to do such a thing. What kind of tricks are these? At that moment, he even caught himself thinking that the priest did not look like a human at all. He emanated demonic energy. Edward said that this couldn't be, he put it all down to dexterity or something. Threatening to finish him off in one fell swoop, he used a wind shadow strike. The protagonist chuckled and said that his stats must be too bad since he even missed. It was Michael's turn to attack. He used his skill. The guy said that he wouldn't be able to defeat him with such a skill. He used his skills time and time again, trying to harm the main character. The enemy's allies who were watching this were very surprised and were planning to escape. Time after time, Edward's health was reduced, causing him to lie on the floor. The protagonist said that even his normal basic attack could break through the defense of a trash like him. The guy suggested that he just give in and offer compensation. After his refusal, Michael hit him with another skill and it hit, and his beautiful armor broke. Edward got angry, saying how dare he threaten him. He used his meteor shower skill to attack the protagonist. Before he could carry out the attack, his arm began to hurt and was completely broken. The main character gradually restored his health, and said that if he loved sledding, he should start loving pulling sleds. Michael restored him to health, but Edward said that if he touched him again, his father would leave no trace of him alive. The guy told him not to worry, his health was restored and he could continue. Edward's ally was very surprised to see such a strong blow. The enemy was completely beaten, his armor was broken, and he had a black eye. The people watching from below said that it was just torture. They didn't think that maybe it was not worth provoking him anymore. One of the observers was very worried about Edward, whether he had died. Those watching their fight were very surprised by the priest's skills. The boy simply tore him apart with his diamond armor. In the chat, the guys were remembering who this priest was. Olivia thought that he couldn't hide anymore. There must be many who would want to be on the same team with him as she did, so she wouldn't have the opportunity anymore. Emma complains about the guy, saying that he has gone too far, and her parents should punish him. Mom said his character is just disgusting. He acts terribly. Of course he will get what he deserves, using power that does not belong to him to suppress others. He will never become a great professional. She said that if they took action, it would mean damaging Michael's reputation. She asked if he could handle it himself. The man asked if Michael had already passed the professional test. His talent must be beyond legendary level. It's surprising that he became a priest. A genius like this, who appears once in 100 years, should, without question, be in the professional league. The girls agreed with his words. He definitely needed to be recruited to them as soon as possible. It seems that this is not a problem for the minister. If there is an opportunity, why not take advantage of it? The man said that he was still the head of the company after all. But compensation for Mr. Michael had already been planned. Edward begged Michael to stop. The guy in the helicopter told him to move away from him. William ran up to them and said that the head of the company, Juan, wanted to talk to him. Edward began to grin, saying that his father had found out about everything and that was the end of him. Michael said that if Chairman Juan wanted to intimidate him, he should come himself. The boy bowed his head and said that the Huang family was willing to compensate him for the damage caused. The enemy was very surprised and asked if he was crazy for bowing down to this man. He told him to repeat it again. He didn't understand why his father wanted to kneel before him. After some time, a hologram of Edward's father appeared and he said hello. The man said his son's actions were the result of his neglect of his upbringing. He is very sorry for causing so much trouble. But a verbal apology is not enough to fix everything. He wants to apologize to him face to face and compensate for the losses. He can ask for any equipment and equipment. He will take care of what concerns his son and will punish him severely. The main character said that since he was so sincere, he agreed. And as for compensation, he needs 3 sets of diamond-level equipment, and he also wants 5 million coins. William was very surprised that the main character provided such conditions. The guy thought that 3 sets of diamond armor for different professions would be hard to find. Diamond level armor. If he wants 3 sets, he might have to wait a few days. He doesn't have any ready. But he shouldn't worry. He will ask someone to go into the dungeon with him, and the Alliance is also willing to provide him with resources and assistance. Unfortunately, he will have to clean everything up on his own again. They noticed a CCTV camera. William walked up to it and thanked everyone for watching, saying that the gentleman had come in person to apologize and discuss compensation. The protagonist thought that it looked like they had their eye on him. Additionally, Edward's father can provide all the resources from the secret dungeons. There are more than 50 secret dungeons after all. It is not so simple. It has many cracks and ravines. William thought that clearing 50 secret dungeons in a month was difficult. And could a newbie really do it? Frank invites Mike to come with his friend tomorrow evening and promises to treat them. Mike tells Frank that he will make a statement at the forum that the gentleman has invited him to dinner tomorrow. Shake on it, Frank says proudly. Mike, turning to the hero, says that today he will let him go, but he will not tolerate this again. Frank understands that the master's family is not so simple, but Mike refuses to discuss it because their relationship is not so close. The next day, the heroes find themselves in the best restaurant, which received 5-star status and has always enjoyed great popularity. Its distinctive feature is that great attention is paid to the quality of customer service. The restaurant has a service team that is always on call. When talking to Michael, Emma warns him to be careful, to which he asks her not to worry about it. He fell at my feet like that only because he noticed my potential and wanted to establish a relationship in advance, the hero continues. Upon entering the restaurant, the waiter asks guests to proceed to room number 888. Frank happily greets the guests and invites them to sit down and not be shy. Frank asks to let him first apologize for his son's actions. The hero asks for forgiveness and says that it is his fault that he raised him like that. Olivia and Emma can't understand why there is no show-off or arrogance. Michael thanks for his sincerity and continues his conversation by saying that he will forget everything if he realizes his mistakes and learns to control himself. The hero turns to Frank and says that the preparations are complete, after which the boss asks to bring everything in, to which he receives an answer from him that it is good, and he begins to act. This is like diamond armor, but it is almost no different. Thoughts appear in the hero's head. Thank you, Olivia cries out happily. 3 sets of diamond-grade armor at once. Even with the family's wealth, it can't be done just to save reputation. Michael suggests getting started, to which he hears in response that there are many reporters gathered outside, and they will escort him out. This is a pass to a dungeon of a nightmare level, the hero continues. They start filming the hero from all sides, but Michael continues on his way with his head held high. While in a hospital bed, the hero begins to feel danger around him and tries to figure out who it is in front of him and what they want from him. In response, he hears aggressive laughter, and is told that this is Mei from the Abyss, a supreme demon with pure blood and great power. That's what I thought, says the sick hero, and tries to find out if these demons come to everyone in the form of bedbugs. He doesn't understand how some town laughingstock who was beaten by a priest can be so proud. It's called a strategic retreat, he continues. The demon asks if he really wants this. Then he offers to make a deal with him and promises to give him terrifying power. Take revenge on all those who humiliate you, he continues. The hero says that this time he will show mercy. The sick hero starts shouting with aggression that he doesn't need mercy and calls him a low-level bug. The demon thinks that maybe he should just kill this idiot on the spot, but he restrains himself. Addressing the patient, he asks him when he will finally decide to simply pronounce the code phrase. Michael tries to figure out how many chances are left to awaken talent. Olivia replies that there is one, after which Michael advises not to rush to use it yet. The hero says that regular platinum drops won't do much good. Michael realizes that they are only short of 1 weapon and plans to sell everything they don't need. The hero says that there are 3 goals in the dungeon and explains them. Emma agrees and says that they need to wait for instructions. To get a pass level, you need to fulfill 4 conditions. Now it's clear why this place is called Bone Soup, says a terrified Olivia. Emma then asks if this level can still be called a nightmare. Calming the girl, he asks her not to worry and promises to buy some snacks once everything is over. Okay, it starts. A loud scream is heard. I'll use the blood to lure out all these skeletons and make them suffer from the most hateful thing, the hero says. They are in danger, and everyone is in a state of shock. We leave. Emma's loud scream is heard. State of emergency. The hero tries to protect himself. We must trust him completely, Emma said. There are splashes of blood all around. The situation is tense. I got there and suddenly a loud scream was heard. It's too late to run. The hero turns to the monsters. All skeletons' health has been reset to 0. A voice can be heard from afar, asking who woke him up. The monster angrily threatens that he will make cups out of all the skulls and drink blood from them. And he continues to angrily attack everyone he considers his enemies. There's that crunch. A guy's voice can be heard from afar. "Arise, my brothers," the skeleton addresses those around him. With the words, "Stupid little people, this is the end of you," he continues his threats. "Ha, these monsters are so stupid they don't even understand basic math," Emma says with a grin. 3 seconds is enough to finish them off," she continues. "It would be better for you to think about your last words," says the hero. Level 8 reached, to be continued. It was cool. A joyful female voice is heard. Olivia, not believing her eyes, asks if she read correctly that in front of them is the key to the dungeon. Emma asks if there really is a one-time secret key hidden in the Bone Soup dungeon. Mike says with surprise that it is different from the usual key that drops in rewards, that it is a very valuable strategic resource. Olivia clarifies whether the one-time dungeon rewards are really that much better than the regular ones at this level. Emma replies that they are several times more powerful. After which, the hero tries to find out if there is any of the professionals who gave birth earlier who has retained 100% health. "What difference does it make?" Emma replies and asks to open the treasure quickly. The platinum-level treasure chest has been opened. Michael is surprised that there is nothing needed in the chest. "Okay, it's okay. 10 points of characteristics are also good," the girl reassures him. "This staff must match your Earth attribute," says the hero. "Where do we move next?" the heroes ask themselves. They understand that their team is already leading in equipment and results. "Of course, you won't get SSS, but you'll get S easily," the hero supports with his words. Olivia proudly says that she can. Michael tries to stop her but sees an enemy with a knife in front of him, who has grabbed the girl and is threatening her. "Hey kid, did you take the key to the stone sword?" he asks. "If you have even a little bit of brains, then you'd better give me the key the easy way," he continues. Olivia, running away, tries to find out why he should give it to him, but he continues to threaten the girl and tries to scare her very much with his actions. "You can't be relied on at all," says the hero, seeing everything that's happening. "Let her go if you value her life," Michael says menacingly. In response, he hears that there is no need to be so rude, although his opponent even likes it. "Hey, what are you doing? I would figure it out myself," a loud voice sounds. "You're a bastard," the opponent says to Michael. "You're not even level 10. How could you do that?" "You will regret your arrogance," Michael replies, after which he promises to send him straight to hell. "First I'll kill this boy, and there's no point in being afraid of these chicks," he says. He doesn't care at all about the lives of his teammates. His comrade tries to find out. "They made a deal with the devils of the abyss," the hero whispered. After which there was loud laughter and insults directed at the hero. "Brother, they are probably well equipped. Let's take all the loot for ourselves," he suggested. The hero pressed his opponent hard. "Fool, heal quickly!" a loud voice rang out. "Brother, I can't. He's already dead," a trembling voice answered. "He is not an ordinary priest at all," the hero muttered. He looked at me rather boldly, then shouted "run" and rushed forward. "They decided to run away," Michael asked. "I won't let the devil's minions go so easily," he continued. "No," came the answer. Michael thought that all the enemies must die and continued to act further. Emma said that if action is not taken, everyone will suffer. "They work on their own. They don't care about their organization," said the hero. And he continued by saying that only the fallen can use it. The giant dead forest is open. The 10th level dungeon was once used for a profession test. The boss became a nightmare come true for all students and an obstacle in the path of professionals. They were chasing the key, a drop for completing the level for the first time. "This is a giant dead forest. We will go there," the girl asked. "Our goal is not only to reach level 10, but also the key to the Forgotten Lair." The heroes wondered what we would do with them, and a proposal was made to bury them. "Oh, it would be great if there was a necromancer among us," said Emma. Michael sighed and became indignant, after which he suggested throwing them into the dungeon. Emma liked the idea and supported the hero. "Excellent," said Michael, and suggested returning to the academy to recuperate. Emma said that since the time of preparation for the promotion exam, they had not eaten such delicious food. After which Michael said not to worry, that in the future there would be a lot of money and everyone would eat well. "We can come here more often in our free time," Michael suggested. Emma agreed, but then thought that it would be better to save money and buy equipment. Olivia remembered that she also had coins and offered to pay the bill. "Next time our team will not be short of funds," Michael said proudly. A waiter approached the heroes and said that some gentleman had placed an order for their table, which surprised them very much. Turning back, Michael wanted to find out who he was. James greeted the heroes and introduced himself, after which the guys shook hands and got to know each other better. "I'm here to invite you to join the team," James continued. Michael responded hesitantly to his suggestion that he might be suspected of taking advantage of his privilege and taking someone else's place. "Therefore I cannot agree," the hero continued. James didn't expect Michael to refuse his offer. "If you need anything, you can contact me anytime," James added. Michael said no problem and began cleaning up. "Come on," Olivia supported the hero. "I will use the key to open the gate to the giant dead forest," said the hero. They say this forest is a fragment of a secret world, separated from the secret dungeon, he continued. Here they are, the girls cried out, and asked to leave the monsters for them. The girls began a serious battle. Be careful with him, Dodge, came the advice from Michael. The battle continues, a fiery massacre takes place. Get ready, the boss is here, Michael shouted. A large body appeared in front of the heroes, which shocked them a little. The singing continued, and during the fight a loud voice was heard, which said that a fall into hell was taking place. The end, the girl asked in surprise, and heard in response that it was not yet. Stay in position, we need to increase the damage caused by bleeding, they heard the command. It's a fiery massacre, Olivia cried. This is a passive skill of the White Spirit Rider, the girl tried to understand. It must be his exceptional skill, the hero replied. Michael jumped to the side and began to attract the enemy with loud sounds, simultaneously anticipating his next actions. In response to this, the monster fired a light arrow. She hit a tree, but luckily Michael was out of danger thanks to his abilities. He struck back, but not having achieved what he wanted, decided to switch to combat mode. Both warriors rushed towards each other. Eventually they came face to face. This collision gave Michael the special ability to teleport. Only he had thought this move through in advance, and then unleashed a flurry of attacks on the surprised rider. Now the time of one of the boss's skills has expired, and he is left alone with Michael. Trying to escape, the enemy encountered Emma's magic, which stopped him. This was a great chance for Michael to deliver the decisive blow and defeat the enemy. Finally, the boys finished the fight, and Olivia was amazed at how difficult it was. While Emma was thinking about how much help Michael had given, he was trying to figure out where the second boss might be. He noticed a rather unusual lack of signs. Suddenly, huge vines appeared and captured the boys, causing no small amount of amazement. Then Michael realized that this was a special type of teleportation. He reminded his comrades of the importance of a smooth landing. He then used magic to help his friends, but something pierced him, causing the girls to become scared. The Master of Curses himself appeared before them. After being wounded by a huge sword, Michael realized the power of this monster. The Curse Master took his weapon and then swung it. Michael was amazed by his speed, and ordered his comrades to dodge and block the attacks. Olivia counterattacked with her sword, blocking the attack. This action shook her health. She sat down exhausted and coughed up blood. Since Michael couldn't heal them at the moment, Emma rushed to her with the medicine she had prepared in advance. The guy used his power to damage the enemy. He landed 3 powerful blows, but it didn't significantly reduce the monster's health. Looking at all this, Emma was very surprised and rushed into battle using a magic spell. Ice shards rained down on the Master of Curses, but it did not help, and Michael decided to act again. He continued to attack, but the monster remained invincible. And then it delivered a critical blow right to the guy's neck, causing Emma and Olivia to worry again. Fortunately, Michael recovered from his wounds and was unharmed. He ordered his friends to follow their plan, and they agreed. The guy ran to the side, as his goal was to distract and anger the monster while the others dealt damage to it. He wanted to force the enemy to spend all his strength and skills, because he fed on damage from skills. Even at such a deadly level, health and defense were important, so they needed a little more time. At this point, the monster decided to turn his attention to Olivia, but Michael did not allow him to do so. He reminded them that he was now his opponent, and would not allow harm to come to his friends. After which, he dealt a crushing blow. The Master of Curses fell without strength and disappeared without a trace. Finally, the monster was killed, thanks to which the guys received many awards. Olivia was absolutely delighted with Michael's skill, but he believed that this victory belonged to all of them. Emma called out to them to show that the rewards did not end there. As an added bonus, they were given access to the Forgotten Lair, which Michael was pleased about since that was his original goal. However, he was skeptical about how gaining clearance would affect other professionals. Emma did not understand his concerns, believing that their work would make things easier for others. In response, Michael suggested going to the next boss. He revealed that the last enemy was a giant deep in the forest, and although this monster was truly huge, it was weaker than the second boss and did not have much intelligence. Olivia began to worry when she saw the size of their enemy. Michael reassured her, explaining that the monster's attacks were not that fast, and that it moved slowly. Then she decided to rush into battle, but instead the guy suggested using the Curse Master. Michael immediately called upon the Master of Dark Curses to help him in the coming battle. He gave him the order to attack, and he obediently rushed towards the enemy. The Curse Master used every possible method, noticeably reducing the giant's health. Michael began giving orders again. Emma used magic, and then the guy delivered the finishing blow. The monster was defeated, due to which the warrior's level increased. Olivia noted that their strength had doubled, not just once. As a reward, the guys also received an unusual and rare chest. Emma hugged Olivia tightly, glad that her talent had proven useful. Meanwhile, Michael opened the chest he received, where he discovered new weapons and useful skills. He agreed that Olivia's talent was indeed quite good. There and then he tried out his newly acquired ability. However, Michael realized that his skills were similar to the boss's skills, as they did not improve other skills. The thing is that after using the inversion, he lost control and increased his speed, which only increased the enemy's negative effect. This resulted in a decrease in characteristics and health. So Michael decided to learn another skill that would remind him of the need to develop control and dispersal skills. In addition, if he reached an advanced level, the opportunity to change talent would open up, and he was determined to take advantage of it. Michael turned around and informed his comrades of the need to inform the others of the latest events. The next day, the principal's office was in turmoil because Michael had destroyed the Curse Master. The director himself could not believe what he heard, but his colleague confirmed everything. He added that only 73 professionals entered the Forgotten Lair. However, 24 of them died, and the rest simply gave up before they even reached halfway. Nobody wanted to take on the case a second time because they couldn't handle the pressure. Another colleague suggested waiting until Michael got stuck on level 15, since they would no longer be able to help once they entered the dungeon. The director expressed everyone's gratitude to Michael and added that although he had raised the issue of closing the dungeon, he had not been supported. His colleague believed that students who were unable to cope with such difficulties should be removed. The headmaster was once again deep in thought about the master of dark curses and the students who were expelled because of him. His comrade opened his fan and promised that this would not happen again. Suddenly, the door swung open and Emma stood on the threshold, reporting a new problem. She explained that after their battle, many people spoke negatively about Michael, hinting that this should not be allowed to happen. Emma asked them to help remove all the insults, which the director was understanding about. One of the men decided to check the information himself and indeed found only dissatisfied responses. The principal suggested that Emma go with him and help deal with the teacher who posted the video. One of the colleagues doubted the existence of this man. Another assured that it was a fabrication against their community. But suddenly Michael showed up, demanding an immediate check for demonic energy. Soon the rumor monger was caught and confessed, and many gathered at the academy to question Michael about his skills. Michael looked at the people with disdain, causing them to shudder. He felt that it was impossible to work as a reporter with such timidity. They began to argue about who would speak first. The guy no longer listened to them, but simply walked to the place where the demonic energy was discovered. The inspection began, but one of the workers said it was not necessary. He assured the guy of the faith of other professionals in his abilities. Michael replied that he was actually interested in it himself. He didn't care about the accusations. He wanted others to stop worrying. The workers hoped for a good result, otherwise they would have to arrest him. The test continued, and eventually showed 0 negative energy. The men were very happy with this result. The results of the study were shown live, astonishing all viewers. Michael warned that he was going to publish the characteristics, and he was ready to engage in battle with all those who disagreed. The hero says that he must warn them and starts running. The hero thought that he had fallen so much that he was buying some tea and not paying the bills. The devil. Where did he go? He tries to find out. Saying how treacherously he starts to run, but hears Michael's voice behind him, who says that pursuing is much more treacherous. After his words, the hero begins to get indignant and says that it is not for him to say what is good and what is bad. The hero then tries to find out from Michael whether he has met such people, to which he receives a negative answer. "I sent 2 such fools back," he continued. "Don't be rude to me. It was I who allowed you to enter the dungeon." The hero angrily addressed Michael. Michael asked him again if he really meant to say that the devil of the abyss had taken a fancy to him, and he had not only resisted the temptation, but had deliberately given in. Oi laughed and asked how some rats, who didn't dare to appear even in the human world, could make him give up. The young man said that he was born to be the main character, that he has money, beauty, and strength. His character leaves much to be desired, the hero thought. Michael said that he hated the demons of the abyss, that the talent he possessed was unavailable to him, and moved on. Michael took out his phone and started chatting. "Blacklist him," Michael said. "He can't buy or sell gear anymore," he continued. "By the way, a guide to completing the dungeon will be released soon. Check out the preview," the hero advised. After reading the entire dialogue, the girls were shocked by everything that was happening. Why did the number of subscribers increase so sharply? Probably it is connected with the fact that the last step was convincing. The hero came to this conclusion. "Well, now we have to deal with the old one," Michael said. He then continued to think and remembered that after passing the 10th level with the help of improvements and the received attribute points, his intelligence approached 150. "I can't tell him that I'm going to the Deadlands," the hero continued his thoughts. The hero got acquainted with the current level and requirements. "Let's start forging," the words sounded loudly. "With this level of equipment, getting a rank in the Land of Death should be enough," Michael thought. His head was full of interesting questions. "Why did you come home without a sound?" Emma asked angrily. Michael replied that everything was fine and asked if he should turn away. The girl laughed and replied that everything was fine. Then she asked if Michael had a minute. She wanted to talk to him. Michael asked her to dry her hair and change her clothes. The girl listened to him. Michael asked what was the matter and began to listen carefully to Emma. The guy was surprised by what he heard and said that he had never heard anything about it before. In his opinion, the girl handles a large sword quite easily. If we could find a hero certificate that allowed her to change classes, she might be able to choose something more suitable, he continued, promising to think of something. Wow, that's great, the girl was delighted to hear. Michael realized that this was not all, and Emma had questions for him. "But you can't laugh after I tell you," the girl said. The hero promised to restrain himself. "Have you noticed that since you awakened your talent, we have been drifting apart," said Emma. She went on to say that she believed that even after all their talents had been awakened, they should still be the most reliable partners. The girl noticed that Michael no longer needed her. With tears in her eyes, she continued to talk about how she was happy for him, but the gap between them was growing wider. Michael tried to calm the girl down, saying that she was thinking about it too much, to which he received a response from the girl that he was stupid and did not understand many things. "I don't want to continue to depend on you," the girl said. "If that's the case, then you need to become more disciplined starting today," the guy said. The girl clarified whether dexterity is really not just an accumulation of points, after which Michael presented her with a gift. "This thing is ideal for use during the transition period," he continued. "Okay, I'll start from today. Snacks are prohibited," she promised, and she asked Michael to test the potential of her bionic tears. "Back massage, massages, cooking, cleaning, I can do it all," the girl said. Michael thanked the girl for coming and said that he really appreciated it. Olivia asked in a trembling voice if the hero was really going to the land of death, suggesting that they rest for another day. Michael replied that he had had enough rest and advised the girls to take a break. Using the stone key, the hero summoned a one-time secret kingdom and opened a portal. "I'm going," the hero said confidently and set off on his way. Various monsters suddenly began to appear in front of Michael, trying to threaten his life. Holy saber. This is like a lazy way to make bone broth, Michael thought, and refused to use it. The hero became familiar with the basic and additional conditions for completing the level. Michael heard various threats and was told that he was not human. "Divine healing reversal. Disaster descends," he said. He then thought about how with the updated equipment and stats, the celestial robes now gave a 90% increase in healing. And he realized he had to thank his two teammates. The hero continues to fight. He moves forward. All enemies are in a state of soul burning, but this does not stop the hero. Ahead is a strange structure that continuously summons undead creatures from the underworld. With the thought that he needs to go forward and kill everyone, he continues on his way. 2 more zombies appear on his way, but the hero does not stop. He continues the fight. Michael thought that everything was not as scary as he thought. That with his current abilities and equipment, a solo passage was quite feasible. "Come out, Master of Curses, I need you this time," Michael says. A monster suddenly appears in front of Michael and tries to threaten his life. The hero sees such a terrible creature before his eyes, but he does not give up. "Kill," asks Michael. "Master," the hero continues to say. Having heard the answer to his question, the hero continues to act further. The hero holds a curse shield that can reflect all magical damage. The whistle sounds for help. "I am your opponent," Michael says proudly. The last 3 blows were accompanied by a loud cry. The black hole caused the largest explosion. Now the hero understands why there are so many angry and irritated faces around. "She's going to self-destruct and take you with her." A loud scream is heard, to which the question is asked. The hero tries to find out what is happening. Target 1 eliminated. Excellent work. Praise is given. The situation is tense. The catastrophe is not abating. A healing spell is heard. The altar of death has been destroyed. Michael says that with the destruction of the altar, the undead creatures no longer pose a threat, and suggests heading to the next location. "There are only 2 bosses left," Michael continued. "The situation is tense. We need to act boldly," thought the hero. "The enemy noticed us," he screamed in a frightened voice. "You have to be careful," said the hero. And ahead of the heroes there is a turbulent backflow and a sea of undead. "Despicable human ants," Sarah said. "How dare you attack from around the corner," she said indignantly. "Do you want to turn the tide of the fight?" Michael asked, and offered to show what a real surprise was. "Not bad," said Sarah, and froze, waiting for something unusual. The frightened girl screamed that it was impossible, proving that her arrow had definitely hit the heart. She thought something strange was happening and asked the hero to go first. Michael took matters into his own hands and began to move forward. Sarah thought that she shouldn't let the guy get that close. "All undead, listen to my command. Block the enemy," the words sounded. Sarah spoke to the monsters persuasively, after which an answer followed. The girl was very surprised by what she saw next. She addressed the monsters. saying that they were stupid traitors who could only fight in close combat, after which she decided to force them to kill themselves. Even though it's only a second, it's enough, the girl said. Teacher, switch to a defensive stance, Michael's voice rang out. Now you're finished, the girl said to her opponent. Once I've dealt with you, I'll take care of your companions, she continued. Next came the spell of binding ghosts. Mike asked again what the girl said, who should deal with whom. Sarah asked the hero why he was still alive. Mike shouted that all the stars were shining. You have slain the dragon of death, Sarah said. You don't have a combat tag, she continued. Master, surprised, asked Michael, after which they decided who would do what. The heroes thought that if they quickly cleared the altar completely, then everything would end. They came to the consensus that they could clear it out in less than 10 minutes. At this point, the heroes realized that they had destroyed all the undead creatures in the land of death, and that the 5th special task was unlocked. Now they need to accept divine mercy. Their goal at this stage is to kill the shadow avatar. The heroes didn't quite understand what this meant, and thought that there was probably another hidden boss in the dungeon. Michael was surprised that the rating they presented was not the highest rating in the dungeon. The hero became interested in whether the adventurers knew this information. Michael decided that this was impossible because there were special conditions. Michael continued to be surprised by the things that appeared unexpectedly in his path. The hero had many questions, but he boldly moved towards adventure. Man, you did a great job, Michael heard himself say, after which he was asked to leave. Michael was surprised by this information and decided to ask if he was entitled to any reward. In response, he heard that he needed to leave quickly and not interfere with the angels' work of cleansing. It was surprising to the hero that angels were exalted beings who did not stand on the side of humanity. The credit belongs to me. Why should it be yours? The hero continued to be indignant. To which the hero heard that serving the great holy kingdom is a high reward for humanity. You are still full of greed, defying the divine decree. Michael continued to listen. After which he decided to shut his interlocutor's mouth. The hero decided to rush into battle with irritation. He didn't like the whole situation that was happening. The hero delivers a direct blow, and heaven and earth are revolted. Don't even think about using genuine tricks to avoid divine punishment, the rival tells Michael. Lightning is summoned and the situation becomes very tense. An ant-like creature seeking death, the words are spoken. Look what happens when you challenge a holy angel, says the opponent. The hero thought that at first he seemed scary, but now this angel no longer seems so smart. The opponent starts shouting aggressively. He doesn't understand how all this is possible, why the hero doesn't take damage, but is constantly healed. Michael says that anyone who saw him defeat previous bosses would not ask such a question. So all you can do is pull out a strand of hair or tear a piece of clothing, he continued. Suddenly there is a reversal of the tide of the blue sea. The danger continues. The catastrophe does not subside. As a result, the projection of the two-winged angel is killed. The hero received an inclusive weapon of unknown quality, after which Michael carefully examined its capabilities. Michael's new blade could heal or kill, but he was most interested in its quality. This was an unnecessary first goal. Rick was already waiting for Michael with a weapon in his hands. He was indignant because Michael had destroyed his reputation. Everyone wanted him dead. But Michael warned these students not to waste their time out of spite. They promised not to interfere. And now it has gone so far that Rick is dropping out of school. But he received a powerful blow from Michael in response. Rick rose from the ground glowing with a demonic aura. And then Michael realized who it really was. The demon flying around him said that he was not his equal, just a character despised by others. He reminded Rick how everyone around him had made fun of him, and no one had cared before. And everyone encouraged him to kill Michael if he wanted to become strong and control other destinies. And Rick gave in to him, asking him to grant him the power of the abyss. After all, he no longer wanted to be human. Michael realized that Rick was infected by an abyssal demon. But Rick's body became so powerful, Michael asked him to stop because there was still a chance. Otherwise, he would have to kill him. According to the code of the Professional Alliance, when meeting with a corrupted person, each professional had the right to defend himself and use any means to destroy him. But Rick just laughed in response, and used a horizontal ball version of the abyss on Michael, thus causing him very heavy damage. He was now subject to constant bleeding. Standing up, Michael made one and only correct decision. He used Moonshadow Flashblade Extraction. But even with the power of the abyss, Rick was not an opponent of his level, and at best a level 10 boss. Rick mocked him that since he put everything into power, he was dead. But Michael struck him hard with his blade. Rick couldn't understand how he did it, and how he was able to do so much damage to him with one blow. Michael knew that Rick had neither theoretical knowledge nor observation skills. He didn't even notice the second stage magical damage after the physical attack. And at that moment, Rick took new damage. And Michael, having survived, lured the demons into a trap. Even after the transformation, Rick's fighting strength was pitiful. If he dies, it will make the capture easier. But Rick liked the second option better, joining his master's army, and he went on the attack again, shouting to Michael that the real test was just beginning. Michael knew that Rick was not real, he was a demon of the abyss. But the Alliance professionals were already on their way there. Rick advised Michael to hurry up and die. Michael decided to lure the demon out by asking what benefits he would have if he joined them. Rick began to demonstrate to him the power of the abyss. Michael asked him about an acquaintance who refused their invitation and even scolded them well. And Rick began to tell that he personally invited him, but he refused, and even dared to insult the power of the abyss. Michael said mockingly, "Did he give the fool a chance?" But it turned out to be useless. Rick was furious. Didn't he know his limits? Michael understood everything about this demon's intelligence. Michael continued to tell the demon that it would have been better to give the power of the abyss to him. He continued to talk about how all people are hypocrites. After all, if the professionals really protect them, then why did Michael's parents die? And those who had the power ignored them. The demon felt his pain. Coming out, he offered Michael to join the family of the abyss, and he would give him the ultimate power. And he also suggested that we destroy this world together. At that moment, Michael summoned the Blade of Moonlight, and he activated the destruction mode, striking the demon. The demon couldn't understand how this man could cause so much damage, and the demon began to ask for help. The demon wanted to escape, but Michael reminded him that he could no longer rely on his shadow copy to transition to another phase. At this point, the demon realized that Michael knew about his abilities from the very beginning, and set a trap to catch his true form. Decided to fight Michael with all his might, using the Hand of the Abyss, but Michael managed to dodge. Next, the demon used the Claw of the Abyss, and he was very glad that he was able to hit Michael, but he only shouted that this was his end. And then he immediately applied reverse healing, and the Abyss demon was killed, and Michael watched as his Moonblade improved, and he became curious if it could only be improved with demon souls, or if any creatures would do. And people on the street were horrified and could not understand what had happened. The Alliance should have been informed that the growth weapon had absorbed the soul of the abyssal demon. Professionals were already running towards Michael, shouting at him to take off his equipment and throw his weapon on the ground. After all, they had the right to attack him immediately. Michael calmly said that he would do everything. These were professionals who maintained security in the city. They used fairly humane methods of detention, so there was no point in creating a conflict with them. Others checked for signs of fighting on the spot, provided medical assistance, and reassured residents. Everyone did their job. They found traces of the Abyss demon on Rick. They also discovered the corpse of the abyssal demon. One of the professionals realized that the demon had died from the sword of the man they had just detained. But I couldn't understand why only a skeleton remained from the demon. They recognized Michael as that brilliant student, but they couldn't believe that he was able to kill the demon. The captain of the first demon extermination squad has joined the professionals. Thomas began to ask how it all happened. He began to ask how Michael managed to lure out the demon's true form. Michael revealed that the demon showed his true form by offering him power. Thomas couldn't believe his words. After all, what he did was not within the power of every professional, let alone a student. But he offered him to cooperate and go with them to the Alliance branch. But one of the professionals recognized Michael. Thomas asked to take into account the seriousness of the situation. He hoped that Michael would understand him, because they could not make any exceptions for him. Michael asked to take the real test into account, and his advantage in the professional test was huge. But then Charlie joined them, asking to put the case of the Abyss demon aside and return to him after Michael's professional test was completed. Thomas was indignant because this was part of the procedure and it could not be violated. Charlie assured that no punishment would be applied for this. The professionals were extremely outraged. Thomas thought that the rumors on the internet about Michael were exaggerated. Did he really have such divine skills? Just in case, Michael clarified with Charlie that he did not need to go for questioning. Charlie smiled and said that if he needed anything, he could safely call the professionals for help. But Thomas still had one question for Mike. Did this matter have any relation to the previous incident? Michael answered honestly that this was the same demon that failed to tempt one of the professionals. Thomas remembered that the guy's constitution, after testing, was confirmed as 1 in a million. But he kept using Michael's name in front of the demon. The demon assumed that the guy had a grudge against Michael, so he rejected the temptation. Charlie thanked him, calling him a real hero, because he not only defeated the demon, but also collected the necessary information. But Michael had more information that he didn't want to share publicly. Charlie ordered the area to be cleared, and Thomas gave the order to his fighters to begin cleaning up. The fighter returned Michael's phone as an apology. The commander-in-chief contacted the student and allowed him to speak. He explained that the weapon in his hands, which he found while cleansing the lands of death, had absorbed the demon's power. The commander-in-chief began to understand what the guy was talking about, but he clarified that information about this weapon was extremely difficult to find. Michael wanted to know if these types of weapons could level up in the real world. For the commander, finding such a weapon seemed rare, and even he did not know everything. But he was sure that, despite the ability to gain experience for winning battles, weapons could not do the same in the real world. The commander-in-chief noted that Michael was the first to succeed, and thanked him for the information. Michael then suggested that this weapon was not the only one, and that there were probably others. The news was positive, but the commander asked not to disseminate it publicly. Such a rare weapon could cause envy among people. The commander believed that if everyone thought like Michael, the alliance would be much more stable. He decided to report what was happening to the Union so that they could sort it out. He then asked Michael to prepare for the upcoming test and left. Michael agreed, and after the conversation he called out to one of the soldiers to pass him the phone. Meanwhile, the commander-in-chief gathered all the representatives of the Union to discuss Michael. One of those present noted the guy's character and strength, saying that he had only met people like him once. For him, that man was the leader of the current generation. The commander-in-chief took the glass of drink and reminded that Michael had also managed to get his hands on the growing weapon. As they spoke, glimmers of dark magic began to appear throughout the city, emerging from portals from another world. At that moment, Michael returned home with his groceries, where Emma was waiting for him. She sat behind the sofa and tried to scare him, but the plan failed because Michael noticed her. Emma got angry, hoping that her friend would at least pretend to be scared, and he reminded her of his plans for work. To demonstrate her productivity, the girl showed her 10th level, which greatly surprised Michael. Delighted with her success, she suggested playing the next day. Michael replied that what happened next would be up to her, because she had probably been working all night long. Emma explained that it was not she who worked on raising the level, all thanks to her ability, biometric tears. Her new skill was good for clearing a dungeon alone, so Emma decided to test it out. Michael wondered if this skill really had no time or distance limitations. Emma confirmed his suspicions, because at that moment her double was fighting in the dungeon. The monster was seriously injured, and their fight was soon to come to an end. Michael leaned his forehead against the girl, making her blush, and asked again about her abilities. He sat down on the sofa and asked the limits of his double's fatigue. Emma proudly replied that there was no limit, otherwise she would not have reached such a level. The guy was very surprised by this, so he decided to change the system of redistributing points. This news made Emma very happy, and Michael said that he would adapt the distribution method depending on her skills and equipment. The girl agreed to provide all the necessary information without any problems. However, when she heard that she had to indicate her height, weight, and measurements, her face changed. This made her very angry and she kicked Michael, but he did not understand the reason for her anger. He explained this by saying that the points received would also affect the double, creating more advantages. In high-level battles, this could play a very important role, especially in the later stages. Emma still didn't understand why this was necessary, but she decided to fulfill the request. Michael also asked her to check with Olivia about her job. He added that this was not necessary, as it was entirely her business. Emma was still angry that the guy wanted to know the details of others, so she walked into the room, slamming the door. Michael hit himself on the forehead because he just wanted to help his teammates gain an advantage. Emma, holding the measuring tape, tried to calm herself down, saying that the measurements were just data, and getting stronger was more important than worrying. Moreover, she and Michael had known each other since childhood, and there was nothing to be embarrassed about. She was a little annoyed, but wasn't sure whether to provide exact measurements. Emma measures her parameters. Her breasts never grew, even though she drank a lot of milk. She thought that the main character would use this to laugh at her. When she was examined, she had a lining. If he knows how, she will be able to hold her face in the future. The girl said that nothing will happen if she uses another girl's data. It's the same as her data. She's probably finished with the dungeon by now. Emma quickly wrapped a ruler around her and told her to hold still so she could measure her. The main character is waiting for the results of her measurements. Holding out her hand with the piece of paper, she said that she had finished the test and only he could look at it. He looked at the piece of paper and his expression became a little gloomy. The guy said that it seemed like they weren't quite right. She said that she had such data during her last medical examination. If the data is incorrect, their strategy will be useless. The girl picked up a pencil and quickly began to correct everything. Michael hit her on the forehead, saying that this was more like the truth. He asked if she had asked Olivia and what she had said. She said she couldn't bother the big boss anymore. He couldn't fuss over a problem like her. Big Boss has already given her so many good equipment and resources. She has earned some money and points and can't ask for more. This stupid girl explained that it was not because she was afraid to show her personal data, and not because she thought that the attribute glasses were useless, to show faith in him. She gave her the data from her medical examination. If it were anyone else, the protagonist would think that she wanted to lure someone else. But because he knows about her, she really doesn't want to bother others, and is afraid that they will think that she doesn't trust them. Since they became teammates, how could they not help? Moreover, She is so talented. The system sent him a notification that Emma had gained a new skill that could summon spirits to battle. He was very surprised that she could also summon. Emma said it was not the same. It was different. The ability to summon spirits can only be used in secret dungeons. Moreover, when a spirit dies, it really dies, but it can be revived. She doesn't know about the rest because she hasn't tried it yet. There is no need for the heavenly system. They will go to the dungeon and check its effects. They are in the secret dungeon of the Flame Lizardman. Emma was surprised and asked the main character if he had changed his weapon into a knife. The main character hit the girl with it, but instead of being wounded, she received healing. She said that there was nothing surprising about it, and that her older brother would show her something. Bionic Tear uses Creel's exclusive soul summoning skill. The notice stated that the spirit of the giant's guardian tree had descended. Michael thought that even though he was gold quality, he was obviously a top-tier boss with stats that exceeded gold level. If she levels up later, she will be able to summon even stronger bosses of the appropriate level. This girl's talent allows her to summon Big Brother from the very beginning, without any cooldown restrictions. This can be considered a semi-divine level talent. He told her to hurry up and check it out. She sent the guardian tree to eliminate these lizards. With the help of the heavenly strike, the spirit quickly dealt with the enemies. There was a very powerful explosion. Heaven's strike reminded the protagonist of the skill of that Goblin King, but the attack range is much wider and the damage is much higher. He asked Emma if he could try to fight against him. She turned him down, saying that now that he was his teammate, couldn't he just sit back and relax? There was another boss coming up, and it was a good opportunity to see the Guardian Tree fight alone. The main character said that he was talking specifically about bionic tears. Emma stood before the spirit and said that she refused. The guy asked if she could just be reborn. Michael said to have the Guardian Tree near the next zone. The leader of the Lizardmen better check the skills of the Wooden One. He will deal with the rest himself. He jumps over the spirit of the Guardian Tree. The protagonist thought that there was no critical hit. He couldn't kill him with one basic hit. The guy killed the Lizardman guard. Emma was very surprised, because the damage from his basic attack was very high. It looks like the Spectral Moon Hue has gotten a lot of bonuses. Previously, he dealt damage at long range, changing the numbers on his healing skills. But the advantage of Spectral Moonshade is that the higher the attack speed, the greater the bonus, of course, only for normal monsters. What about Angelic Ghost? So it completely ignores physical damage. A group of lizard men were destroyed after the protagonist's attacks. Emma thought that Michael had become even stronger, and she couldn't fall behind. She told the Guardian Tree to go with her and destroy the enemies. Michael said it was her time to prove herself. It's time to see the power of the moon's shadow between the crevices and the oath of the ocean and the moon. They arrived at the Lizardmen tribe. 300 Lizardmen warriors will fight them to the death to protect their tribe and leader. Emma said that 300 level 10 Lizardmen guardians would do enough damage. Michael said he would handle the healing and keep the Guardian Tree alive. The girl told the Great Guardian Tree to run towards the walls and resolve them. The Great Guardian Tree has entered recharging mode. The girl and her spirit fought the monsters. Invulnerability to any damage for 3 seconds. Increased movement speed. The ability to move hundreds of meters in an instant. A wonderful skill that helps with both attack and defense. Illusion Moon Jellyfish drains the power of the moon, healing him and his target for 521 health every half second for 15 seconds. The main boss, the Lizardman King, has appeared. The girl asked the Great Guardian Tree to fight with all his might and show what he was capable of. Bionic Tears is intelligent and does not require additional instructions from Emma, and the Great Guardian Tree obeys only her. The Guardian Tree is very strong, but its disadvantages are also obvious, because he had already seen and tested most of the abilities that the Spectral Moon Hue possessed. The dungeon boss has been defeated. The Guardian Tree felt a familiar power from this master. He wants to ask the protagonist for a favor before he goes to the Soul Realm. The guy thought it was no wonder that they said the giant tree couldn't be revived. It was a one-time summoning. As a teacher, although he is wise and has his own memories, he is simply a phantom summoned among his kind. Such an intelligent being from another world, like the abyssal demon or angel they had met before. He hopes that he can take his mistress to the Forgotten Lair. The Guardian Tree hopes that he has a special mark that will give him access to this place. His owner also has access. He can take her with him. The main character asked who the hostess was and who he was talking about. The spirit pointed to the bionic tear, saying that this was it. First, the main character asked him to stand up. He needs to confirm this before he can answer. He told Emma that they should get out of there first. The girl thought about what had happened. According to common knowledge, the awakened talents of adventurers are always effective for awakened ones. Only adventurers can give birth to awakened talents. And with awakened talents, adventurers become stronger. In a symbiotic relationship, once an adventurer makes a sacrifice in battle, no matter how strong the awakened talent is, it will be extinguished in this world, even if there are biological characteristics. Summoned beings with intelligence will protect their master. But bionic tears can summon beings from other worlds, allowing them to be their own master. He even has a pass to enter the Forgotten Lair. The guy was curious about what kind of creature she was. It was hard not to assume that Emma and even all of humanity could be in danger. They cannot leave the hidden threats to humanity unpunished. This matter must be resolved immediately. He said he had one thing to do. Emma could return first or complete other tasks. The guy said that everything was fine. He needed a little time. He just wanted to warn her in advance. The man asked what had happened so urgently that he needed to speak to him in person. The protagonist said that he and the high-ranking officials must already know that he is qualified enough to go to the Forgotten Lair. He realized that he wanted to ask why no one had told him about this dungeon. Michael thought that if he had voluntarily shared this information, then it was a different situation. This was just one of the questions. He asked if he was worried that it would affect his thinking, and wanted him to take a professional test first. That was one of the reasons. But he thinks that if he wants to know, he can tell him. He might not know how difficult this dungeon is. It is a dozen times more difficult than the dungeon of the secret world he has already encountered. The levels of even the smallest monsters start at Diamond. Many participants cannot even escape and end up dying there. But the geniuses who have been given the right of entry are still afraid to use it. Only legendary level equipment can defeat the boss. Moreover, if someone can solo the dungeon, he can get mythical level equipment and skills. The main character thought that he was worried that he was becoming arrogant. If he were like someone who thinks his talents and strength are invincible and rushed there madly, he would die immediately. The guy asked what level he needed to be to enter there. The man replied that he needed a minimum of level 15, but he advised waiting until level 20, synchronizing all equipment and skills before planning to go there. He told him to be sure that he was not so reckless. Since the dungeon was so important, he would prepare well and treat it as a professional test. In fact, there is another important reason he wants to tell him. Recently, most of the Alliance's forces have been focused on hunting down the abyssal demons. These sewer rats have become brazen lately, and he almost got caught by them. Not only is there a newly appeared being known as the White Jester, but they have also received information that the abyssal demons have infiltrated the Alliance with many spies. Adventurers must not allow the tragedies of the past to repeat themselves, so there may be some changes in the future events, so he should keep an eye on his further communications. Just in case, the Alliance announced that it could lock down the entire city, and that a purge of internal personnel would be carried out. The professional test is coming up. They can't let these rats influence the candidates, so they don't release the news to avoid panic. The soldiers are running down the corridor. John told him not to worry about the abyss demons, to focus on his studies. They have the situation under control. Even if their staff is infiltrated, they can handle it. The protagonist still has one question. If the awakened talent of a professional is of the summoning type, and the summoned creatures come from another world and have some self-awareness and their own original memories, is there a chance of betrayal? He knows that awakened talent is symbiotically combined with a professional. This force develops within each one. It is like the most important brain, living and dying with them, and it is their last reliable ally. Therefore, no matter what he calls or what world he is from, it will not be the thunder and life of a professional. Even if they have intelligence and their own character, deep down, they will still obey unconditionally. They tested it in battle, even high-level control abilities that can affect the thoughts of others. They can make the creatures summoned by the awakened talent attack the summoner. The protagonist asked what would happen if the abyssal demon was summoned, to which he replied that this would not happen. There are such talents in the Union. The demons of the abyss, called by him, will not only not call people to join the abyss, but on the contrary, will join the forces of the abyss, becoming informants responsible for transmitting the movements of the forces of the abyss. John asked if he had awakened such a talent, or if it was someone from his circle, to which he received the answer that his close friend had awakened such a talent, because he clearly stated that the summoned beings from another world would not betray. And if he really wanted to bring the bionic tears to the Forgotten Nest, the Alliance would definitely notice. After the main character's words that the creature also had permission to enter the Forgotten Nest, John was very surprised. Michael said he wasn't sure if that was true. He won't betray his friend. That means he won't betray him. He can only take him by reporting it to the Alliance. He shouldn't worry if the Alliance confirms that the summoned creature was summoned by an awakened talent, an illegal summoning ritual, or a dark force. They will not limit his actions in cities where people live. On the contrary, people with such abilities are valued and their development is supported. In the future, they will have access to resources, equipment, training, and other benefits. The protagonist thought that he didn't like being tense and realizing that he was not in control of the situation. It seems that Michael asked what he wanted after all. John said that if he didn't mind, he also wanted to ask something. According to the senior prosecutor's conclusion, the true cause of death may be a planned magical attack. In particular, it is similar to the actions of the old paraquat. Could it be that his awakened talent is the poisoned milk technique? The guy thought he was a great forensic expert, fully analyzing the consequences of the reversal treatment. They wondered if he had injured the abyssal demon. Some experts believed that another professional had already injured him somewhat, allowing him to take advantage of the situation. John thought he already knew everything. The Alliance of Professionals rewards every professional who kills an abyssal demon. He asked him to wait for the award ceremony. He would get the reward he wanted, additional platinum-level equipment and skill books, also some rare materials or items. He could even specify what aspects he wanted. Should he send the items to the man? Then he will return to himself. He needs to take his comrades to the dungeon. John wished him luck in his professional test. He wished him to take first place and bring glory to his city. The main character asked if they had bet on him, and this question made John laugh. Michael watches as Olivia walks around the city, holding a folder in her hands. She turned to him and said that she had already made a decision. All her data and information was there. He didn't expect that the girl trusted him so much. If so, he couldn't let her sincerity down. He had to think everything through carefully. The guy told her not to worry and to leave everything to him. Based on the data calculated, he will consider whether she should change her class. She was delighted and said that it was good to prepare. Since her fatigue level is not yet at maximum, then she will continue farming. The guy thought that he wouldn't ruin her fighting spirit just yet. First, based on the previous dungeon, we'll add the body data from this time and do the calculations. The data on current skills and equipment has already been fully collected, but things like the amplitude of muscle movements in the dungeon, reaction time, and habitual actions are also very important data. Since there were 3 of us in the dungeon last time, the current data on it is not yet entirely accurate. At the moment, other than the occasional luck buff, she doesn't really stand out. Just in case, he will prepare a plan so that even without revealing her talent, she can pass the final test and be accepted. After all, the class transfer test is a solo dungeon, and luck alone is not enough for it. Tony said they took down the Lord. Stephen replied that he knew about it and wanted to go and finish off the one who killed their Lord. Kai said that there were professional Alliance spies everywhere now, and if he unleashed the power of the Abyss, it wouldn't take more than a few minutes for a cleanup squad to surround him, especially if it is so bulky and clumsy that it won't fly away even with wings. Chris added that compared to the death of the Lord, she was more concerned about who the Lord had appointed as their new commander. Stephen said that in the end, they themselves did not need to act. Just a little intervention. There was no point in stopping because of the death of the Lord. They only need to add a small ingredient from the dungeon in the final test. He doesn't understand why the Master uses such a valuable artifact. If they used it to farm diamond-level equipment and skill books. And in general, if they attack them together, wouldn't they be able to handle it? Who didn't throw 2 cards at him and say why the wall behind him became cracked? Chris told him not to be angry. He should understand this egghead. The girl added that he has never been very smart. He just likes to act head-on. He simply can't stand fools, especially if he has to work with them. The Lord dragged this bald guy into their team. Sooner or later, it will come back to haunt him. The bald man began to apologize and bow his head. Who didn't tell him not to apologize and to remember that he is stronger than him and can do much more? The boys were very surprised when a green glow appeared behind them. They greeted the gentleman. Since the Lord is dead, he will appoint a new abyssal demon to command the name, as well as one fallen one for support. Not only did he kill more than a dozen high-level professionals, but he also carried out a massacre in a club where ordinary people were. More than 1,000 killed is an impressive achievement. Who does not recognize the power of the White Jester? But what he does puts their lives at risk. He will refuse to participate in any further operations until the White Jester leaves the city or is eliminated. The stranger said that this is great, since they have their own opinion. The White Jester has no power to command them, and will not participate in their operations. He will cover them while carrying out the new task. This is an outstanding fallen one. He will become their reliable ally. After these 2 are completed, they must be replaced by another person who killed the Lord. They need to do everything according to the template. They need to use the coming in the final test. The boss, strengthened in rage, will kill him and no one will know anything. Let these professionals bitterly regret it. Who didn't say that it's not worth spending an artifact on it that can permanently bring diamond-level equipment? Once they all farm diamond gear, the Master will be able to kill anyone. The man said that the threat level is higher. If you are going to use it, it would be better to use it against another person. The pathetic alliance of professionals is hiding everything. But he still got the information he needed. Now everyone who was secretly guarding him has already switched to protecting him. When they complete the task, They will take them to the abyss where they will undergo purification. They will become true warriors of the abyss, but if they fail, it means they are not yet worthy of receiving the deep power of the abyss. The listeners shouted that they would not let him down and would definitely carry out his order. The man behind the counter says that their outstanding student Michael, without flinching before the demon of the abyss, defeated him. Relying on his strength and intelligence, the Alliance of Professionals officially presents him with a certificate of merit. The guys discussed how his characteristics were now the best in the entire school, although before there were rumors that he was connected with the forces of the abyss. After overhearing various rumors about the demons of the abyss, Emma became worried. Realizing that Michael had not told her about the dangers, she became angry. At that moment, the director officially presented Michael with a certificate for all his achievements. The guy modestly thanked him for the kind words. Along with the certificate, the director suggested choosing any reward, from equipment to skill books. Michael didn't think it was necessary and politely declined. All his equipment was important to him, despite the attractiveness of the things offered. Although his equipment lacked the ability to instantly move, he didn't mean to brag, but these characteristics didn't give him any gains, despite their temptation. Suddenly, he noticed among the awards something that helped him make his choice. It was a special belt, boots, and a book that gave a new skill. The book allowed one to gain the ability to reduce the enemy's characteristics, and the boots with the necklace reduced the slowdown. Thinking about this, Michael reached for the desired items to get power. At this point, the principal decided to end the ceremony and ordered everyone to go to school, causing discontent among those present. He then told Michael that their organization had already allocated people for protection, and that the performance was just a ploy to attract attention. Then he asked the guy what his plans were for the class change test. Michael intended to improve the equipment and help his friends pass the test. Suddenly, the bracelet on the director's hand began to flash, attracting attention. Hurrying, he asked who was on the student's team and asked him to go with him. In the principal's office, they sat down and began discussing Michael's friends. Michael said he wasn't worried about Emma, but he was worried about Olivia and her talent, which was difficult to use. The director thought Olivia was strong because Michael took her into the team. He added that he could not make any concessions on the exam, but if she passed it, there would be no problems in the future. Then he handed Michael an envelope. As he left, the director explained that this was not only a real award, but also part of their organization's plan. A little later in the lizard dungeon, Olivia fought monsters. Michael, observing the situation, gave advice on her tactics and style. When one of the monsters turned its fury on her, she skillfully fought back and prepared to fight again. Michael advised her not to stop as her angle of attack was excellent. Following the advice, the girl delivered an accurate blow and defeated the monster. After the fight, Olivia breathed a sigh of relief. Her unique talent allowed her to increase the rewards from the chest, although it only lasted for 24 hours. She opened the chest with delight, because thanks to another skill, the probability of getting rare equipment increased. Michael noted this new skill gained after upgrading his talent. It also allowed for a higher chance of rare items dropping and eliminated the appearance of unwanted items. Michael was tormented by the feeling that this skill only worked for herself. However, in his opinion, they were equal in this regard. Olivia ran up to her friend, inquiring about her progress. Michael praised her for her significant progress and noted that with such success she would not fail the final test. At first, he thought that Olivia was chosen for the heavy sword class because of her innate strength. Michael asked her if she was really ready to change classes. Olivia, worried, tried to assure him that everything was okay. However, in the end she admitted that she liked her current class. Michael didn't judge her, knowing how stubborn she was. But he didn't hide the fact that her physical characteristics were not suitable for swordsmen. If she continues like this, she may end up causing serious injury to herself. Olivia was on the verge of tears, although Michael realized how difficult and serious this ordeal could be. He warned her that even he didn't have all the information, so she could get hurt or even break down. In conclusion, the guy added that regardless of the outcome, Olivia will remain part of their team. Michael, turning to Olivia, said that no matter what decision she makes, she still remains part of his team. The girl thought that they always treated her sincerely, despite the fact that her skills only affected her. Michael said that first we need to deal with the boss, and everything else will come later. The girls made a decision with confidence, and said that they would take the tests to change classes. After that she felt sick and her head started spinning. Tomorrow is the final test, and I, as a team member, can't even find my teammates, the girl muttered. Michael told her not to be angry and decided to surprise her. Look at this and you will understand everything, Michael said. Before serious tests, the heroes decided to get acquainted with the rating table and find the necessary information for themselves. Wow, there really are a lot of people, the girl said with fear. Emma asked if she was ready, to which she received a positive answer. Forward, forward, you will definitely succeed, the guy supported the heroes. Michael asked Emma if everyone knew yet, to which she replied that she definitely couldn't tell them. I thought they had other channels of information. It seems this secret is very closely guarded, Michael said. It was the mayor. The mayor had arrived, and there was a general noise. Trevor greeted everyone and announced that he had news to share. Due to some unavoidable circumstances, the current test for professionals is postponed for 3 days, he continued. Damn it, is the demon wave coming again? Michael thought. Could it really be that someone from another world had gotten inside? The hero began to doubt. Trevor announced that today was the day that the special recruit student first appeared. According to the latest provision, each subsequent special student will have to go through a unique underground instance with the selected team before the start of the final test. Moreover, this challenge will be held in the format of a final professional test, after which the student of the First Academy of Professionals was announced, and the instance he must complete alone is precisely the dungeon originally intended for the final test. Kai said that the instance was not changed and he thinks something is wrong with that. We have a task and the rest does not concern us, said the guy. Then he told Kai what his task was and advised him not to waste time on extraneous matters under any circumstances. Kai promised not to let us down. Kai was then warned about situations he might encounter along the way. Comrades advised to be careful and attentive, so as not to have to wait for death. I will leave as soon as necessary. I am keeping a close eye on the party, said the hero. We got it, he's with us, a menacing voice sounded. We don't care whether he survives or not. To become a special student, one must either make a huge contribution or awaken a divine talent. A loud discussion of the issue began among the heroes. Everyone tried to express their position on this matter. Trevor advised Michael to stay put, after which he used his magical abilities. The heroes tried to keep their distance and act with great caution. Eventually, the team entered the dungeon and received the Hearthbone. It must be used to immediately exit the dungeon. Under the influence, the difficulty of the dungeon is increased to disaster level. Is this really it? The girl cried out in surprise. Yes, the dungeon has mutated, she heard the answer to her question. Under the influence, the structure of the dungeon has undergone serious mutations. New zones and monsters have appeared, although some will remain the same. Please try to survive. The words sounded.